Biomed Nexus Daily updates your essential biotech, medtech, and pharma recap. No noise, just what matters. TLDR, President Trump is expected to nominate Dr. Heidi Overton, Deputy Director of the White House Domestic Policy Council, as FDA Commissioner per Bloomberg, Stat, Axios, and CNN, citing administration officials. No formal announcement had been made as of Tuesday night. Amylyx's avexitide cut composite level 2 and level 3 hypoglycemic events by 55% versus placebo PB0,003 in the 78-patient Phase 3 lucidity trial in post-bariatric hypoglycemia. An NDA is planned by year-end, and shares rose more than 50% per market reports. BioMarin will acquire Alesta Therapeutics for $275 million upfront, plus up to $215 million in milestones for ALE1, an oral Phase 1.2a candidate for hypophosphatasia, close expected in the third quarter. Elio Pharma acquired worldwide rights to Tanabe's dersimelagon for up to $435 million in upfront and near-term milestones plus royalties. The oral MC1R agonist for erythropoietic protoporphyria has an NDA under FDA review since June. Sandoz and Henlius signed a biosimilar collaboration worth up to $322 million, with up to $100. $5 million invoiced in 2026 per Henlius, covering cetuximab, evolocumab, and belimumab candidates, and a framework for up to 10 assets. Endpoints. News reports. Reboex confirmed a patient death in its Chinese investigator-initiated trial of the in vivo CAR-T-RXIM-002, the third such disclosed death in recent weeks. Reboex received FDA IND clearance for the program on August 8th using that trial data. CSL called the European Tavneos withdrawal a significant headwind per endpoints. Executive takeaway: the counterparty to every regulatory binary on this week's ledger is about to get a name, and the temptation will be to trade the name as if it were a decision. Resist that. A nominee is not a commissioner is not a review division, and nothing on the calendar between now and Thanksgiving will be signed by Heidi Overton, Capricorn, Scholar Rock, Rusfertide, Summit, Vertex. All of them get decided by the acting structure that produced Replimune's third try, ITM's factory rejection, and Capricorn's deferral. Our call since June has been that the agency is improvising division by division without a settled philosophy. That call now has a confirmation calendar attached to it, and the earliest it could be wrong is 2027. What a hearing can give you is the first statement of how the next FDA thinks about the two questions this month has turned on. What a post hoc analysis is worth, and whether a clean package can be held hostage by a facility finding. Overton's record is in pricing deals and vaccine policy, not drug review, so neither answer exists yet. Until it does, the environment is the one we described: variants, not verdicts. Read full analysis, FDA leadership. The FDA is getting a nominee. It is not getting a philosophy this quarter. Bloomberg first reported, and Stat, Axios, CNN, and The Washington Post confirmed through administration sources that President Trump is expected to nominate Dr. Heidi Overton to lead the FDA. Overton is a physician and deputy director of the White House Domestic Policy Council. Stat credits her with running the food pyramid redesign, the childhood vaccine schedule overhaul, and the negotiation of drug pricing deals, and Axios notes she stood at last week's Oval Office signing on the vaccine schedule. There was no formal White House announcement as of Tuesday night, and the job requires Senate confirmation. Marty Makary left the agency earlier this year, and the FDA has run under acting leadership since. Two things follow. Every pending decision on our calendar through the fourth quarter is made under the current structure, and the nominee's record contains nothing yet on the questions that have defined this FDA for sponsors: post hoc analyses, manufacturing findings, and AdCom weight. The pro-brief lays out what a nominee can change, when, and the one thing to listen for at the hearing. Metabolic Amylyx blocked the GLP-1 receptor and won a phase 3 on the pre-specified endpoint, which after Monday counts as a luxury. Amylyx avexitide 90 mg once daily reduced the composite of level 2 and level 3 hypoglycemic events by 55% versus placebo through 16 weeks p=0. 0003 in 78 patients with post-bariatric hypoglycemia across 21 US sites and met every key secondary endpoint including independently adjudicated level 3 events. No serious adverse events were related to the drug. Diarrhea and injection site reactions led the safety table, and body weight did not change. Amylyx holds breakthrough therapy designation and plans an NDA by the end of 2026. Biospace reports Mizuho notes the trial was powered to detect a 35% effect, and Stifel puts peak sales at $1. $7 billion? Fierce Biotech reports the asset came from Eiger for $35. $1 million in 2024. Shares closed more than 50% higher per market reports that disagreed on the exact figure. The company puts the population at about 8% of roughly 16,000 US bariatric surgery patients with no approved therapy. This is the mirror image of yesterday's iPoint story, a small trial, a pre-specified endpoint, and no argument about which analysis counts. It is also the first phase 3 proof that antagonizing the GLP-1 pathway is safe and effective in people, which is a clinical footnote to the obesity thread rather than a challenge to it. Deal's 3 buyers wrote 3 different kinds of contingent consideration on the same day. All 3 go in column 6 of the ledger. BioMarin, Shah SD's BioMarin will pay $275 million upfront in cash, plus up to $215 million in development and regulatory milestones for Alesta Therapeutics, whose oral small molecule ALE1 is in a phase 1.2a for hypophosphatasia. The deal closes in the third quarter, and BioMarin calls it modestly dilutive to 2026. Per Fierce Biotech, Alesta spins its other assets into a new company, and no staff transfer. AstraZeneca's Strensiq covers only pediatric onset disease, and AstraZeneca's next-generation enzyme failed a phase 3 in patients 12 and up, which is the hole BioMarin is buying into after its own Inozyme enzyme failed last year. Leo Pharma acquired worldwide rights to Tanabe's dersimelagon, an oral MC1R agonist for erythropoietic and X-linked protoporphyria, for up to $435 million in upfront and near-term milestones, plus downstream milestones and tiered royalties. The Phase 3 INSPIRE trial met its endpoints. An NDA has been at the FDA since June, with fast-track and orphan status, and Leo's CEO put the US EPP population at potentially 5,000 patients in comments reported by Reuters, and Sandoz and Henlius signed a framework worth up to $322 million, up to $100. $5 million of it invoiced this year per Henlius for biosimilars of Erbitux, Repatha, and Benlysta, plus an option and room for up to 10 assets, with Henlius manufacturing. Early biology bought mostly in cash, a filed drug bought ahead of the FDA's answer, and a preclinical portfolio bought almost entirely on contingency. The pro-brief prices the 3 structures against each other. China, a third death in China's investigator-initiated trials, and this one sits under a US IND cleared 10 days ago. Endpoints. News reported that Reeboks Therapeutics confirmed a patient died in its Chinese investigator-initiated trial of RXIM-2, an in vivo CAR-T for autoimmune disease, the third such disclosed death in recent weeks. The case details are behind Endpoint's paywall and are attributed to that outlet. The public context is what makes it matter. On August 8, Reeboks announced FDA clearance of an IND for RXIM-02, a lipid nanoparticle delivered circular RNA that encodes an anti-CD19 CAR and builds the CAR T cells inside the patient, and said it had submitted complete investigator-initiated trial data from China, covering safety and early efficacy from all treated patients as part of that filing. The US Phase 1 is called Populus 1. Fierce Biotech's 2 gene therapy deaths on Monday were immune reactions to high-dose viral vectors. China's Order 818, in force since May, now requires GMP-grade product, large animal toxicology, and serious adverse event reporting within 5 business days. We wrote yesterday that the diligence question on any China-sourced asset is whether the human data were generated under Order 818 or before it. As of today, that question applies to a program with an open US IND, Quick Hits. CSL called the European withdrawal of Tavneos a significant headwind for CSL Vifor in its fiscal 2026 results, per Endpoints News. Results coverage puts fiscal 2027 Vifor revenue guidance at a decline of around 25%, and CSL's own June ASX update put Tavneos at about $145 million of fiscal 2026 revenue, third payoff of the evidence-based unraveling call. CSL, the FDA approved Lantheus's Talclarify, a tau PET imaging agent for adults being evaluated for Alzheimer's disease, on August 14th, per the company. Positive percent agreement ran 68 to 88% across 2 read studies. Lantheus is the $8 billion curium target, so this is a diagnostics asset inside the infrastructure thread. LNTH colon tissue gene cut its workforce after the Activion 2 Phase 3 of TGC missed in knee osteoarthritis, per Fierce Biotech, with a second Phase 3 due in October. Biospace reports CDMO demand should turn up in late 2026 or early 2027 as biotech funding rebounds, citing PitchBook's count of 27 manufacturing and distribution deals worth $9 billion in the first half and a 6 to 9 month lag, described by Lonza's CFO. States have until September 30th to decide whether to join the generous Medicaid most favored nation pricing model, per Stats Policy newsletter. Capricor issued no new release and the FDA has published no new goal date for dersimelagon. August 22nd formally stands. KPR in today's full analysis. Be sure to read the full article for all the details, including the Overton file, what is on the record, what is not, and the full decision calendar the acting FDA still owns through the 4th quarter, the complete lucidity endpoint table, design, dose, primary and secondary results, safety, and the filing timeline. 3 term sheets side by side, BioMarin and Alesta, Leo and dersimelagon, Sandoz and Henlius. The China investigator initiated trial death timeline and the updated 7-column binary ledger. Read the full breakdown, Biomed Nexus Pro in today's Pro Brief. What a nominee changes and what it cannot. The decision calendar the acting FDA still owns, and the one question at the hearing that would tell you how the next agency treats post hoc analyses and factories powered for 35, delivered 55. Why Amylyx's number is stronger than the size of the trial suggests, where the label debate actually lives, and the ledger column Amylyx is most likely to enter next. 3 ways to buy a binary in 1 day, how BioMarin, Leo and Sandoz priced early biology, a filed NDA and a preclinical portfolio, and why the Ribox IND is the binary nobody priced at all, plus the catalysts to watch into Friday's full calendar upgrade to unlock institutional analysis, a name for the FDA that decides nothing this quarter, a 78-patient trial that left nothing to argue about, and 3 buyers who each showed you how much of a binary they think they can see. The ledger keeps filling. What are you watching? Reply to this email. Read, full article sponsorship, slots for 2026 are limited. See packages and pricing. New Biomed Nexus Signals, weekly, sales intelligence for life sciences BD teams. Learn more.